Welcome, everybody, and welcome to those watching the replay. We're happy you're here. I am Elisa Meredith, the Content Marketing Manager at Tailwind, and I am joined by Kate All of Simple Pin Media.
Hello.
Yeah. Now, Kate, I feel like you and I have a lot to catch up on, so this is going to be fun.
I know. We do.
There's been a lot going on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're doing some spring cleaning, and not the kind with the Windex and dusters. No. We're doing the fun kind.
Yes.
And the reason this came up is because you have this blog post of yours that is your viral pin, right? Everybody loves it, and it's your blog cleanup post. And I'm going to share a link to the post right in the chat.
Thank you. I'm going to pull it up too.
Yep. So I really wanted to dig into this. And the first thing I wanted to ask you is, so this is like my free pick Kate's brain session. So this is yours too, everybody. So if you see anything you want to ask about, please do. Yeah. So first of all, what made you write this post?
Well, I wrote the post because I was getting asked this question all the time. And a lot of people come to us. We have a cleanup service. So a lot of people will come to us and ask about the service. And then if they might not be able to afford it, they would say, well, how do I just do it myself? And so what we did was we took our system that we do for cleaning up Pinterest boards for those people that felt like they wanted to do it. And we put a modified version on here. So I wrote it actually 2 years ago, but I just updated it. I updated it a little bit ago. It wasn't that long ago, but February actually says at the top.
Yeah.
So I try to update it often enough to where it stays current with the current Pinterest landscape. So
that is very smart. And we know that is always changing, like last week.
Yes, always. For sure.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to jump right in. Let's jump into the steps. And the first part of it is going to be cleaning up your profile.
Yes. Go ahead.
Well, no, you go. No, please.
Okay. So one of the things that we often look at is like when we open up a Pinterest account, we look at, does this match the person's branding? Like maybe we have their site opened up too. So we look at the profile, we go, is there a connection? Like if I was to be on your website and I came to Pinterest, would I have connectors that matched for me? And the biggest things being the name was pretty big too. Like some people had their personal names, but their website was their blog name or their website name. And so right off the bat, we wanted to change the profile name to match that. Now, if you are known by your name too, you could put both your name - Simple Pin Media. I decided to make an intentional choice to do Simple Pin Media because I wanted that to be front and center instead of Kate All. It's kind of like you don't see Howard Schultz with Starbucks. Like everybody knows Starbucks. They don't always know Howard Schultz. So that would be kind of the first, if you're looking at like high arching, you're going to look at the profile and go, does this even match my branding?
Okay, so I have a question for you. So we have our Pinterest username, which is in the URL, right? And we also have our Pinterest name, which is that part in the big bold letters. So you're talking about perhaps changing that name.
The profile name. Yeah, not the username. The username, that URL is way harder to change. You have to go through tons of channels with Pinterest, which we know that their email is not necessarily timely. So that could take quite a bit of time for you to get them to change that, which could be a big headache. So I would say don't worry too much about the URL, but look more at the profile name, like that big bolded letters.
Right. Yeah, I feel like the username would be a bigger deal for you to change everywhere you've shared it as well. So you could end up with broken links, which would be bad.
Yeah, okay, I know people who have done it, but it does take a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So, in the Pinterest name, now I have my name because my separate agency is my name, and then it has keywords in it as well, like Pinterest, promoted pins management, stuff like that. So, how important do you feel the keywords are in your name?
Really important. I think number one, it tells the user what you do very quickly, like at a glance. But I think it also helps Pinterest know that these are the keywords that you are associated with. Yeah. And so that is also just another good indicator to Pinterest. So you don't want to skip over that. You can add up to 3 lines before it starts cutting things off. I don't know the exact characters, but I know that you can just do those 3 lines there and then look at how it looks on mobile too. And if you see that it's getting cut off one day, give it a little bit to see if it's a glitch and then fix it later. Don't freak out. You know, sometimes it'll cut off mid-sentence. Just wait for Pinterest to sort itself out. And if it doesn't, modify the length.
Okay, that works for me. Okay. And I've noticed that when you search for a person, like if you do a search in Pinterest and then you filter by people, that does seem to matter. So the people who tend to come up at the top have those keywords in their name as well. But then the other important part is the description. So what do you look at when you're doing a cleanup?
Yeah, so what we look at in there is to make sure that it tells the user what it is this person is about. It's more of an expanded version. So for mine, I do have my location of Portland, Oregon. I've kept that on there. You don't have to have that. But then I say we're Pinterest management services for bloggers. And I'm actually going to expand on that a little bit more and maybe write small businesses as well, because we do work with a lot of small businesses. So I'll say Pinterest marketing tips and more. And then I do have a bit.ly link to my planner. And you and I have talked a little bit about this over the years because it's not clickable. And I would have to go back and track to see how many people have clicked on that. I should have done that before today, but I didn't. But you can see if it's actually working by having it be a bit.ly link. Again, people can look at it on their phone, copy it, do whatever. But I just find it's a way to potentially capitalize on getting more people on my email list. Now, Kim Harrington, who I did a workshop with about SEO and keywording, she suggested your bit.ly link actually have a name behind it. So bit.ly/simple.
Like a custom,
Exactly, which would be easier. So I have not done that.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, it's super easy. I just got lazy.
Oh, okay. Well, now, Kate, this is going to be your homework. I didn't know you didn't sign up for homework, but that's your homework. And to report back on how many clicks you're getting from that. Because my guess is people don't go to profiles that often.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and they don't copy and paste links very often. But prove me wrong. Tell me how many.
It's going to take a unique individual. That is right. Well, if at the least it lets them know that you have something for free.
Yeah. That's true.
It's just there. So, and Pinterest Planner. So I do have that as keyword optimization in that place.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things you can do in there, but the biggest thing being you're putting keywords in there and you're telling people what it is you're about. A lot of people add in emojis. I would say that's just a waste of space. They add in cutesy fun terms. Get straight to the point. It's all business. Put some keywords in there.
Business. Got it.
That's right.
Okay. Now you did mention that you keep the location in your profile. Why did you decide to keep that?
Part of it is that in my podcast too, I talk about where we're located. Now how my team is organized is very central to my branding too. Like I have a local team. So a little bit of that is intentionality with the Simple Pin brand. We are based in the Northwest. We are locally owned and operated. So that's a little bit of the reason. But if you don't have any ties like that, like I do, thread it into the podcast and other branding, just remove it altogether. Yeah. But if you have like a travel company in a certain location or a hotel, like absolutely put your location. Do not overlook that.
That's right. Excellent. Okay, that's what I was hoping you'd say. All right, so let's talk about the next step, which is assessing and optimizing your individual boards.
Okay, so the boards I think can be kind of a funny. People get really protective of their boards. So what I would say overall is you want to have the boards, again, communicate your message. What is it that you create content on? What is it that you sell? And if people were to hop onto your profile, which it is very low, less than 5%, are I think the numbers I've heard thrown around is, you want to say like, okay, if somebody is going to hop on here, Do they understand my message? Being, your top left board, I would always say, is your business board, your blog board. And then from there, the top things that you're known by. So maybe it is that there's a certain kind of recipe. One of our clients just did a superfood bowls cookbook. So one of the great things for her to have at the top would be maybe some recipes from this cookbook or the name of the cookbook. There's a lot of buzz out there on the internet. So some of these boards that are matching up with that, I think, are a really good idea. Wait.
I just want to say that when you say when they're matching up with that, you're talking about the keywords in the board titles matching up with search terms people are using.
Correct. Thank you. Exactly. Okay. Which I was just going to say that because a lot of people will name their boards cutesy titles, or they will do a play on maybe their branding. Yeah. I would stay away from that and go, again, all business. Like, what is your keywords that you think your ideal user is putting into the search bar to find your type of content? And it's okay to get niche. So instead of just doing chicken recipes, maybe you want to do healthy chicken recipes or easy chicken recipes. I was about to say vegan chicken recipes, but that doesn't go together at all.
But if you have those, I want to hear about it.
I know, fake chicken. But if you have something like Mexican chicken recipes, I mean, really get creative with this, especially matched up with your top trafficked posts. I think we often forget that maybe let's say there's a theme, copycat recipes. Create a copycat recipes board. Like really think through, how are you known in the search community, if we're going to look at even Google search terms or, and then utilize those as your board titles and then move any to secret. This is what I do that I haven't used in a long time, or maybe they're just for personal use. I know on my profile, nobody really wants to know my remodel bathroom pins. Not really all that interesting. And frankly, sometimes the images aren't optimized for Pinterest. They're maybe hard to see, but I know they link to a very important product that I want to buy. So just move things to secret that you're not using anymore or not relevant.
Yeah, I just did that ruthlessly on my account because there are some boards, even boards that I love and I personally want to keep using and collecting information there, we're doing very poorly on Pinterest. And I looked at that through Tailwind's dashboard to find out, apparently nobody really wants to see my Twitter pins, but I still want to have them and be able to.
But Elisa loves Twitter. She loves Twitter.
I do like Twitter quite a bit. So I'm not going to stop pinning. You can't make me stop pinning, but I don't want my followers to see that because it's not resonating with them. And it probably doesn't reflect who I am in their eyes very well anyway. But I do want to go back to something you said at the beginning of your answer, which was to have at the top left your blog board. So I just want to kind of explain what that is. Okay. So every account should have one board that is only their own content. I find almost always when I look at board insights in Tailwind, that's the most successful board or one of the top 3 because it's completely unique. There is no other board on Pinterest like that with just your content. It would be cool if other people did that too.
Yes, I would love to see create a simple pin.
That's great. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Okay, I'll try that. Yeah. But because it is unique, it's going to get a lot of action. So, and when we talk about board insights in Tailwind, that's a section in your dashboard that helps you rate how your boards are doing. So you can look at how many repins each pin is getting.
Yeah. And the pin inspector, if you go deeper into board insights and then you click on the board to analyze those pins, that is such a fantastic way to see what's getting repins. Like, are people actually engaging with this particular content? And if you open up the pin inspector on a particular board and you see zeros or nothing, like it's might be a good board to kind of ditch. That's how I do with my group boards is I will look to see, are my pins getting any activity on these group boards? And especially if I'm actively pinning to that board and it's just like crickets, then it's a good indicator to me to leave that board.
Yeah, but something to keep in mind too is that it's not going to happen right away. So if you were to filter those pins by or sort them by reverse date, so you're looking at today first and you're seeing all zeros and you're thinking, oh no, I should leave.
Yeah. Great. No. Yes. No, you don't want to do that. I would say look in a big chunk of like 6 months. Mm-hmm. If for 6 months you see zeros, that's probably a good indicator. So I always tell people, when you're doing any type of evaluation of anything on Pinterest, it has to be over 3 months, but for sure, probably like 6 months, because it does take a while to get, it's like the little engine that could, you just like, think I can, and then it takes off.
Yep. I absolutely agree. So, tell me how much you love it when people delete their pins.
I know. Do you notice actually that is at the very top of my post?
Yes,
that's the first thing. And I say this does not involve deleting pins. Right. Now, over the years, so this was a popular theory back in 2015, but over the years, people have asked as they've gotten closer to the limit of pins, which is about 300,000 on your profile.
Goodness. Okay.
I cannot imagine pinning that much. And I've been on Pinterest for a while. If you are in danger of that, then I don't know if moving to secret, those pins don't count. I can't remember off the top of my head, but you just might want to reevaluate like why you're pinning a lot, but deleting pins is not a way to game the system. And that was originally why it was introduced as a thought, was that it could trigger the smart feed to see you as more relevant. But we've kind of shown that that's not the case. Yeah.
Okay. I have a great question from Holly, which is going to cover our faces, but I note that in the opener of the cleanup blog article, which we just discussed, it states, move your finger away from that delete button. Yes. Okay. I and many of my friends have business accounts in the vintage e-commerce space, so one-off items. Understood. Okay. So in such instances, isn't it better to either delete pins to sold items or maybe edit the description or move it to a sold board so anyone who later stumbles upon it isn't frustrated by clicking through to find nothing like it and feeling as though they wasted their time? Your thoughts, suggestions? A lot of Pinterest related suggestions I see seem to be geared toward blogs and are not ideal matches to one-off items for sale.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's my thoughts. I'm curious to hear what you have to say too, is that I would say, because you can only control the one pins that you've pinned, you still have to find a solution to the problem of people clicking through, and that cannot be mass updated. So what I would suggest is that it's okay to keep those pins around, but redirect it if you can. Number one, I always tell people, if you can redirect, go that route first. If you cannot redirect, then have something on that page that says suggest more. Like, thank you so much for your interest in this. It was so popular. It's sold out. But this is something that matches that. And I think then that gives them another path to go down that. I mean, even when I'm looking for stuff for my house, if I come across maybe something that's no longer in stock, the frustrating part really isn't that it's not in stock, but it's that they're not directing me to another option because I'm ready to try. Right. Even Target did this for this set of chairs that I have loved forever. They still have it on their website as unavailable, but there is no other option underneath. Like, you might like this instead, which is, it's like, it's Target. Come on.
Right. Okay. So the other thing I would say, and I completely agree with what you said, is that the last thing you ever want to do is delete the page, because then you have a broken link and Pinterest picks up on those things and it's going to hurt your reach.
Yes.
So, and now she's bringing up that Etsy and some others don't have that option.
Yes.
Which is true. Etsy and eBay sellers won't have that option. I don't know what options you have for those pages once the item is sold out. With Etsy, at least there are related options.
The only other option I guess I would see is if you were willing to invest in a site that housed a page that could be updated and you linked to the page, maybe even being just a simple site, you could link there instead of to the actual one-off product, because that is the difficulty with Pinterest, is that you're not dealing with Facebook or Instagram where the shelf life of these posts is very short, but you're dealing with a long-term platform. So if we kind of back up from that and go, what can we do to have a place that can receive long-term traffic?
Yeah.
I think that's a better plan for anybody who sells, whether it's one-off or something that's 6 months or whatever, simply because the buying power, I think, is really strong on Pinterest and how they're informed. I don't know if that's possible.
Right. And it's a big challenge for people who don't own the platform that they're selling on. And I completely get that. But I do think Etsy is fairly well set up for that. eBay is a little trickier, but I like your idea. So have that intermediate step that you absolutely control always and forever.
Yes.
And then you could have a link to click to buy. I would definitely test your conversion rate, see what that extra step does. If it drastically reduces your conversion rate, maybe that's not the best idea. But as far as keeping your overall Pinterest reach and traffic healthy, that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. It'd be good to find somebody who's done a case study on that.
It would. Okay. All right. So you talked about board sections as well. Tell me what you were thinking there, because I'm not sure.
Well, board sections, I believe, like that is something they added new for the user. So it's within a board, you can go into sections. What Pinterest has told us is that this is definitely a user tool at this time, and it doesn't factor into the search. So what you name those sections is not filtered into the algorithm. It's really just your board name. So if you want to go to the effort to section out your boards, great. But just know, like, you're only doing it for kind of your personal use, not so much the keyword search factor. And if you are going to take that time to section something, let's say you have a recipe board and you're sectioning it out, I would say instead create new boards, because that's where you then can optimize for the smart feed instead of wasting your time sectioning out your recipe board.
Yeah, so I have a couple of secret boards. I have one for a trip that I have coming up, and inside of that, it has sections for each of the places we're going.
That's really smart.
It's really cool because I can share it with my friend who's traveling with me, and we can put in what we want to do, where we want to stay. But it is really great for me, but even if it was public, I would never expect someone to click in and then look around. That's just not going to happen, and the search would be terrible.
Yeah, it would be. And the ones I've seen who have done it, I think just because it was a new feature and they thought maybe it did factor in, it is kind of clunky to navigate, for the actual user. Yeah,
most of the activity that happens in search happens in search, right? So most of the activity on Pinterest, rather, happens on search. So that's what we really need to focus on. So then that leads really well into your next item, which is looking at the keywords more closely. How often do you find, like, do you do this board cleanup once and then it's done forever? Do you do it once a year? How do you do it?
You know, I would tell people to do it at least once a year. Okay. I wouldn't do it that much more often, simply because what we talked about was that very few people go to your profile. So if you can create a really great streamlined board that represents you and your brand, you really don't have to do it that often, with the exception of just evaluating your boards. And for me, I evaluate group boards quite a bit. I only have 35 boards on my profile. I don't have a lot, and I like having less. And I only add in boards when I feel like I need it, or maybe there's a particular topic that my community is asking me about, or I've created a big section of content. But for the most part, once a year, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if your branding changes, like if you do a full overhaul, definitely go overhaul your Pinterest board.
That makes sense. Okay. So then you assess the group board effectiveness, which I know we've talked a little bit about, but tell me exactly how you do that.
Okay. So this is really timely because a lot of people ask about group boards. I do have a podcast coming out tomorrow morning about group boards. Like, we go super intense.
You have a podcast?
I know, it's amazing. The Simple Fin podcast.
Simple Fin podcast. Okay.
So tomorrow we're going to talk about group boards, but I would say if I'm going to back up a little bit and look at group boards and what their purpose is, The purpose is to collaborate. That's what they were designed for on a particular topic. And so I want to look at group boards that have a great title.
Mm-hmm.
So is the board named well? That's number one.
Okay.
And number two, is it still effective within my branding? So I had a board that somebody had added me to 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And it was like DIY something. And it had a lot of followers. It had a lot of pins. It was really popular at one point. And then I realized this isn't my target demographic. And what I talk about isn't necessarily DIY. Like they were, building pallet benches,
You don't do that?
No, I don't. I buy them.
My dreams and my Pinterest dreams. I do.
Yes, exactly. So then I just made the choice to leave that board because I really couldn't put content on there. It didn't match what my people were looking for me for. And Pinterest has just said, it was a recent update that they did, that when they factor in what to show in your smart feed, they look at the boards that you have on your profile. And so some of that keys an indicator to me, like these do matter on your profile. Like they're crawling your profile, whatever. So I look at that. And then I look at Tailwind to go back to see, okay, I've been on this board for a year. The name is good. The branding matches what I'm a part of, but is it getting the performance that I want? And do I still want to collaborate with this person?
Right. So that's board insights again.
Yep. I go into board insights. Then I look at my engagement. I do like the engagement number is the first one I go to first. And you and I have talked a little bit about this, the engagement and virality number.
Yes, the engagement number, that one, and I should know this, but I'm not looking at it. So
the pins, repins, and followers.
Yes. Oh, really? Okay, because I look at the other one.
Yeah, so I look at engagement always first, because what I found is that, especially on that let's take that big DIY board that I was on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The virality is like through the roof, right?
Okay.
Because there's a million pins on there. So some of those pins are still showing up in the searches. So they're getting repinned, they're getting these things, but not necessarily current engagement. Like you're not seeing a lot of good activity on anything that you've put on the board. So that's how I have gone through and looked at my insights, is to look at the one that has the most engagement in because the numbers are subjective, your account. So I look at the top and the bottom, and then I evaluate my pins on those boards, and we'll often find that those are the ones that are getting most repins.
Okay. So what you're looking at then is engagement score, which is repins per pin divided by follower, which I kind of think that's a great idea for your group boards, because if the group board you're in has 100,000 followers and you're not getting many repins on your pin, it's probably not that great. Yeah. But I think for my own boards, I'm going to stick with the virality score, which is repins per pin.
That's a good distinguisher. I like that.
Okay. I just made that up on the fly. So, try it.
Okay. It's all a giant test here, right?
It really is. And that's the fun of it, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
No, I think that's a really good way to look at it. And, and the other thing to note about group boards is that if you have been on Pinterest for a long time, pre-2014, you will know that group boards did used to be super duper powerful, but they just aren't anymore. Like what we find is that personal boards, for the most part, tend to perform better than a group collaborative board, unless you have a small amount of contributors.
Yeah. Now, I will say I'm looking at 2 different dashboards right now.
Okay.
And on one, the group board is number 1 as far as, what is it? As far as engagement score goes. Okay. So divided by followers number. And I'm going to look at another one and tell you what I see there.
It's like a live test. And
it is a live test. Isn't it fun? Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
The group board, it has the highest engagement score. And actually on this second one I'm looking at, 2 or 3 of the top 4 engagement scoreboards are group boards.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have gone through and left ones that don't work. So
okay. So what I would wonder too is a lot of people will only heavily pin to group boards, and they won't, they'll use those more for their content and just kind of see their personal boards as an afterthought. And what we've seen with that is we see numbers like what you're seeing, but then we also see like the personal boards, just the engagement and virality just could plummets kind of.
Why wouldn't they pin to their own boards with their own content?
Because of the belief that group boards will get you greater exposure for your content, because that's how they were before.
But they should be pinning to every relevant board.
Totally agree. Well, and Pinterest just said that this week, right? In their new best practices guide was pin to the relevant boards first. And so pin to your own boards. I think it's just the idea of like, oh, it used to be so awesome. Like maybe it'll come back and be awesome.
Well, maybe, but they need to be on your own boards too.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one, Kate, that a week ago I would have said does not matter.
Okay. Ooh, a week ago. Okay.
A week ago I would have said does not matter. And I think I even put that in notes and said, convince me. I now think it matters. But tell me why you always thought it mattered.
Okay, the only reason I thought it mattered was very much for when people came to your profile. They would see the boards at the top that had the most engagement on them and spoke the best about the best to your branding. I think that's the way you would say it. Okay. So that's the only reason I would do board order and then group boards at the bottom, because I don't want somebody else's board to be at the top. I want my stuff to shine. So that's really the biggest reason for board order, is that my stuff, other people's stuff. That's it. There's no big rhyme or reason beyond that.
No, that was reasonable.
But I'm now curious, why have you changed your tune?
Okay. Well, before I answer that,
okay,
I want to ask you about board covers.
Okay.
Because if board order is important, would board covers be important?
Okay. So the joke has always been, okay, if we're going back to let's just make up a number. Okay. Less than 5% come to your profile. I'm going to say it's pretty small.
It's pretty small. I don't know a number, but it's small.
We don't know a number. Okay. So if less than 5% come, how many are going to see your perfectly organized group board covers and be so dazzled by them, they want to follow you? So it's really about time and productivity. And a lot of people will spend 4 or 5 hours doing board covers, and they can be glitchy. The sizing can be wrong. The positioning can be wrong. It can be a very frustrating endeavor. And so I've always told people, only do it if you have extra time, like you're binge watching on Netflix and you weren't going to be on the computer anyway. Yeah. Because 4 to 5 hours of your business time, especially if you're maybe only working 20 hours a week, you've killed a day. And if you think about what is going to be the best ROI for your time, that is not a good ROI on your business time. I would never spend time on board covers if I'm working 30 hours a week. In 4 to 5 hours, well, I could write a webinar. I could do a lot of things. I could crush it in a lot of areas that would make me money. That's not going to have a return. So there you go. There's my soapbox.
Okay. I have to tell you that I am somewhat tempted by them now, and here's why.
Okay. Got it.
Here's why. Pinterest released the follower tab.
Which I love that tab. That was a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. So we had a request earlier to talk about that. I'm going to share the link to that blog post from Pinterest right there.
I will pull it up on my phone so people can see it. And it's now is up on a desktop as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got it on desktop first, but I got it on
I got it on my phone first.
Yeah, and if you get it on your phone,
very bottom. See, it's on the follower. That it's like that little. Whoops! See right there, second one.
Yes,
following, and it's cool because when you click on it, then you can see all the people that you follow in chronological order.
I know, it's like
we all
old
love
times.
A chronological feed, right?
They do.
Oh, it's like our dreams. Yeah, so it says like 8 minutes. There's a lot of promoted pins in there.
Yes, true.
So just know that you will see that and not to be annoyed by it. Pinterest has to keep the doors open.
Now, I have to tell you, I'm seeing a lot that is like, why did I follow that? And so are you doing a lot of unfollowing?
I am actually. There was a few that I went in and I was like, how'd that get in there? If you have done the like mass follow thing or follow unfollow,
Which no one we know would do that.
Don't think this is a cue to do that. Don't. Because I have even had clients who have had bots or people they've hired, VAs, to like purposely follow people per day. And let's just say when you open up this feed, you should not be around children.
Really?
Sketchy.
Who? Oh, yeah. Okay, so they followed without paying attention, and so now they have some crazy.
There you go.
Naked things. Okay. so yeah.
Very little clothes on. Yes.
Okay. So I have been mass unfollowing because I want this feed to actually be exactly who I want to see and the content I want to see. And I've noticed that some of in here it is like, I would have followed this person. And then I realized, oh, it's from a group board that I follow.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can click on the board name and then unfollow just the board. You can click on the images of the people at the top to unfollow. You can click on the plus to find new people to follow. So this is a humongous change.
Okay, so how does this play into your group board covers?
This plays into so many things. So here's my theory.
Okay. I love it. Okay.
Okay, I am mass unfollowing. I will be following people as I find them, and I think there's value in looking for people to follow to find more content, great content to share.
Agreed.
I just published a blog post on the Tailwind blog on how to get followers on Pinterest, which I never thought I would write that blog post title. Never.
Oh, I should resurrect my old post. I have one.
You should.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wrote that because the point is not how to get lots and lots of followers on Pinterest. The point is to get engaged followers on Pinterest. And that's because of the quote that Pinterest gave us that says, I'm going to read it and I'll share the page in a second. We distribute your content to your followers first to figure out what is resonating. From there, we distribute your best performing pins to other people who are looking for ideas like yours. So I let that sit for a minute. and I thought about that and the fact that I have been doing it all wrong, Kate. I'm doing it all wrong.
Okay.
For my personal account, because I took it from personal to business to personal to business. And all along that time, the people are following me because they want ketogenic diet recipes.
Yes.
They do not care about my Pinterest recipes. Or Pinterest recipes, my Pinterest blog posts. So I don't want those followers anymore. So I have archived all those boards so that I don't see it in my feed, and it's all good, but it's going to take a while for me to recoup the damage I have done to myself by not focusing on a strategy. So long way around to the answer why I am now tempted by board covers. And also feel like board order has more importance because I do think people are going to be more interested now in actually following individual pinners.
Interesting. Okay,
but I don't think there's going to be a mass return to bulk follow unfollow because that is so counterproductive, like you already mentioned. But it is going to make sense to follow in a smart way, a purposeful way to find people whose content you actually want to see in your curated feed.
Right.
So I think other people are going to do that is my guess.
Okay.
They're going to be looking for people to follow, and they are going to check out profiles more. I don't know how much more.
Okay. No, I can appreciate that. Yeah. No, I think that holds some good merit. Well, and it goes back to the basic thing of, I think what a lot of people are missing, especially when we do our consult calls, is that their Pinterest page has not been cleaned up in years, and it no longer matches who they are. So getting that very consistently dialed in, I think is really the most important thing, is that if somebody's going to land on there, do they get the whole picture in a snapshot? Yeah.
And do you want them to follow you? Because I really, if there were an easy way to get rid of all my followers who don't engage with my content, or all of them who just followed for my ketogenic recipes, I would, but there isn't. And there are much better things for me to spend my time on than to try to get rid of followers that aren't engaging.
Yes.
But from here on out, I'm mending my ways.
I love it. Okay, go ahead.
No, and I'm sticking to business, and I am going to go through my profile again, clean it up even more, knowing that people the ones who follow me, I want them to know what they're following.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will say too, like I do love a good board cover. Like I'm looking at mine right now, and I just like them to be clean photos. Like there's some that have text on it, and it kind of sometimes drives me nuts. But I will spend time just getting those things off to just get a cleaner photo. And that's pretty much it. Like, and that will be if I'm, having fun.
On the ball. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I hear you. Okay. So we had a comment from Raquel who said she always checks through profiles before following, especially now. And she's more prone to following individual boards than the entire profile as a whole.
Yes.
I am so with you, Raquel.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree. I usually only follow people that come to me for, maybe they want Pinterest management services or they want a consult or a cleanup. I'll hop over to their profile, look it through and follow them so that, I just give them a follow because you're legit. So
it's a nice thing to do. Sure.
Yes.
But you know what, Kate?
What's
if you are then not engaging with their content because you don't really care about it, you're not doing them any favors.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe now that there's a follower tab, I might engage with their content because then I can see it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I know.
And so I think Pinterest, I'm really grateful to them for one, asking what pinners wanted and giving it to them. Right, because they said some pinners wanted the follower feed, some people wanted the smart feed, some people wanted both, and so they gave us everything. And also for giving us more details on best practices to get our content out. There are there's some really incredible information in that page, which is a page that I have bookmarked and
read over. They keep sneaking things in. Every once in a while.
So I check it all the time.
That is a reason you bookmark and go back to it because they sneak stuff in. Okay, so I have a quick question about board covers. So say somebody's on their phone. So I have never cleaned up my account on my phone, and just know that your boards will move on your phone. They won't move on desktop. And that's another thing to note too, is that the majority of people who come to your profile, it's on your phone. True. So you really have to be aware of that. And you can edit by changing the board cover on there. I haven't done it before. And I did notice you can now get your own pin code.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know the pin codes have been around, but it was never just like in the edit feature for me.
It was also never just for one board. It was always just for a profile before, but this is new. Yeah. So I want to say something else about board covers because when we're talking about how they get frustrating, and somebody in the comments also said they were the bane of her existence.
I feel you.
We are talking about making custom board covers that have usually the board title on it. But what Kate is talking about for your board cover is going in and manually choosing which pin you want to show up on the cover. And that is much less time consuming, much less frustrating, and much less likely to be different next week and look weird.
Yes, exactly. And they've changed over the years. They've changed the size of the board cover. In fact, we have a post about how to create your own custom board covers because people were asking for it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I've since modified it because they changed their profile look multiple times. So it was like they had a small thing at the top, they had one on the side, it was just a lot. So if you do, just know that if you do create custom board covers and you pick a size, it could change. So just know.
Okay, you had on here to talk about the Google Pinterest thing.
Yes. So there's been some talk. So Google changed. I don't have the articles up in front of me at this moment, but Google did release a new update. And as I've been kind of watching things kind of trickle out, and they're prioritizing AMP pages. So those are accelerated mobile pages, basically. which we knew that was kind of coming anyway because everybody's on their phone, right? So it's like there's not a lot of people on their desktop anymore. So the question has been like, how has that affected Pinterest? And a lot of people have made speculation that this update tanked Pinterest traffic. But I think it's so much deeper than that, and that it kind of knocked off some keywords, and Pinterest pins are no longer ranked high in the Google search feed or boards. But Christy Hill, who's the person I kind of go to whenever something Google related comes out, she made a great point. She's like, this is really good because instead of competing against Pinterest pins for ranking in the Google search feed, now your posts have a greater opportunity. Your content on your site is not competing with Pinterest links content. So it can seem like a bad thing, but in all honesty, like, I don't know the user habits of how many people skipped by Pinterest links because maybe they weren't on Pinterest or they wanted an actual link or whatever it is. Yes. So there were two things that we looked at. One was, is this really a big negative effect for us with Pinterest traffic? No, I think it's still good. It's not going to
for me or anyone.
And we looked at a lot of traffic too. I know Tracy Forbes, she did a bunch of digging in her group too, and didn't see the drop off in traffic in probably 8 or 9 graphs that she had looked at.
Okay.
We didn't either. Christy didn't either. So I think, again, it goes back to when you do see something update on Google or Pinterest and somebody writes an article about their experience, just filter it through the fact that it is their experience, which it might be fantastic. They might have had such a good experience and you can glean information from that. But just remember that it has to be tested on more than just one. So that goes with any strategy you're going to try. They're usually really inspiring articles about growing or whatever happens. So just always grain of salt.
Yes.
You know,
test it yourself. Look at
test it.
If nothing else, go into Google Analytics and look at your referral traffic from Pinterest and see it was.
And now to break it down too, like now an article I read yesterday was talking about the AMP traffic versus, like there's a lot of deep things you can do in there to give you information. So don't take high level. Yeah. Don't take it as truth. Just really do your own research and look at it and make sure that it applies. So that's the Google update. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah. It's weird for a search engine to be showing up in the results of a search engine also, because Pinterest really is a search engine.
Yeah.
So
like Christy said,
Google showing up in Pinterest. Yeah.
Don't show up in Google.
Right. So I think it makes sense. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
No. And this time of year is low time anyway. I mean, our traffic slows down in the spring. I don't know why, but it just does.
I don't know. Spring break, for one thing.
Yes.
And that spreads out over a couple weeks, I've noticed this year.
Oh, it does, definitely, because spring break in the Midwest started mid-March, and then spring break even here up north is just happening now. So you do have this full month time frame where people are traveling.
Okay. All right. So there were also a few updates about image size suggestions.
Yes.
And I'm going to share the link to that as well. This is another page to bookmark and check because it changes fairly often. And these will be your official guidelines for what size image you should be posting. Yeah. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So 600 by 900. And that's the one that they've included in almost all guidelines for years. Like it's kind of, that hasn't changed. But now what they told us is they're going to cut off at 1260. And they had been dialing that back a couple months ago, it was 1560.
Yes.
So now they've given us this 1260 limit. So a lot of people are asking, what do I do about long collages? Especially food bloggers used to have these long collages that would be 2,000 in length, right? So I think it does require us to think more purposefully about what is in our images and not to make it too busy. I think that was something else that was also in their creative guidelines, is making it very clear photos. And it's so professional. And I think the biggest question for people when you do cut down the size is, do I still use 2 photos? And what I always tell people is there was never any rule to use 2 photos or 3 photos or to stack or collage. We have tons of clients that just use one single photo with some text. Yeah. So it's really about what you're going to test and what things are getting clicked on. But I don't think that you're going to get docked in the feed for having something that's too long. I just think it's going to get cut off.
Ooh, interesting. Because they actually did say something about that.
Did they?
They did. Okay, so the page that I shared is, it's in the chat, but they did say that they're going to be giving some, I don't want to make it up. I'm going to read it.
Okay.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
I know. We were careful of starting rumors.
Yes.
We're doing a podcast soon about myths.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Yes. So it says Pinterest optimizes pins that fit within these preferred aspect ratios.
Okay. Optimize.
So they optimize your pins, which, what does that mean? I think it means they surface them more and more quickly. Yeah. So if you're going to do a pin that's 600 by 2000, it may not get as much exposure anymore.
Well, let's kind of go back to the original intent of why people did longer pins. Mm-hmm. What was the goal? To be taken up. Room. Pinterest got smart. So I think that's a good thing. Like that's a good message to us with any platform, that when you do hear like keyword stuffing, just keyword stuff, the descriptions, it's like, they're going to get smart.
Yeah. Why? People don't like it. Do what people like.
Yes, exactly. And, there could have been complaints too about images taking up so much of the screen. We don't know what their user feedback is, but we do know that Pinterest is very keen to listening to user feedback. They want to appeal to their user. They know that their user base is as their people, right? Yeah. It's not us as marketers. And so they want to look to see, what do their users prefer? Right. They probably don't prefer a 3,000 in length infographic that takes up 17 scrolls, right?
That's right.
So take these as good cues.
That's right. And somebody's asking about square images. They do say square can work. I prefer the taller, but but don't go shorter than that for sure, because they're saying those are the preferred ratios. So we want to stay within those. And again, I think people get a little confused by size versus ratio. So if you're going to do 600 by 900, that app happens to be the same as 735 by 1102. Either one is still the same ratio.
2 to 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 to 3 ratio. So don't get too hung up on exacts.
Right.
Yeah. So let's talk about what we've been working on. I shared that blog post that just came out today. It was a mega blog post. Hopefully,
I need to go read it.
We also released recently a study that showed the typical results of people who use Tailwind for Pinterest as members.
Okay.
And we broke it out. I shouldn't say we. It was mostly David.
He can have the credit.
David did it, and Justine made the beautiful infographic. And it broke it out by groups of starting follower counts. So you can see what an account your size can expect to get for results if you use Tailwind or if you don't use Tailwind. So that I shared there.
Okay.
And then you have been a busy lady. And so tell me what you're working on.
Yes, I have. So I am working on currently a visual marketing certification course to certify people in the Simple Pin method of being an account specialist. And so
for Pinterest specifically. Okay.
But the goal and the hope is that this will branch out into other visual marketing certification. Nice. So future, thinking bigger. But we're talking specifically. So tonight we're going to talk about how to get your first Pinterest client without cold calling or going broke with advertising. So
love it.
And that is what I've been working on, which will be kind of fun. And I am not a huge, I love webinars. I love teaching, but it's kind of been a challenge for me to get my footing and voice. I haven't done a webinar in a year. So that has been really fun. So people can join us tonight. It'll be great. Even if you don't know if you want to be a Pinterest account specialist, you can still hang out with us. We would love it.
That would be great. So it's at 8 Eastern, right?
Yep. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else that you're working on, excited about? I mean, that's not enough.
No, I know. Yeah. Well, I think for us, we've been working specifically on analyzing ROI for Pinterest management and ROI for people using Pinterest, because there's a lot of, I did a KPI podcast, which got a lot of people buzzing and trying to figure out what their KPIs are. Because usually we just look at like followers, page views, repins. Those are basic ones. But like, what is actually a Pinterest click worth to you? And what does that mean? So we created a new huge data dashboard for all of our clients. I didn't create it, but I hired somebody to create it because they're way smarter with spreadsheets than me. Yeah, well. But we looked and evaluated, like if somebody was making like 2 cents a click off of Pinterest traffic, what's their potential earning, regardless of where that 2 cents comes from, like an email subscriber that buys something or an affiliate link. So really getting into the nitty gritty of, you know, if people ask us all the time, like, I want to know the ROI of your management. Well, that's really not, I mean, it is on us to be very proficient with managing, but it's also on the site owner to take the traffic we're driving and convert it. So what are you converting it to? And I think a lot of people just look at, give me a page view, give me a page view. Yeah. What is that worth it to you? Like, what's it worth beyond ad income if that's how you monetize? Or so we've been working on that. So there's been a lot of things actually that we've been working on. So.
Well, I hope that when you get a big picture of that you will share it, because the last data that I found on that, like the value return for a pin, I think was from 2013.
Whoa, really?
So, yeah, so that would be hugely beneficial for the rest of the world if you would share what you found.
Yeah, it's been already really incredible with what we have found, and quantify it with like, what are their number of followers? How many pins are we doing per day? And then what is their percentage? What percentage of Pinterest traffic is their overall traffic? Okay. So that is cross correlated with it too. So it's a lot of numbers.
A lot of numbers. Okay. Yeah. Well, they're going to make for a great blog post when you're done. Okay. So some more questions. I can't tell if they're showing. It looks like they're not, but I'm clicking anyway. So Carol wants to know, she said, there's no way to put a clickable link in the Pinterest description, like your profile description. There is not. Nope. We answered that one. Oh, Carol says, so don't worry about deleting pins. No, don't worry about deleting pins. Okay, Mike has a strange pin count with 9,000 phantom pins. So the analytics are terrible. Have you seen anything like that?
We haven't either. We saw a little bit of a blip this last week with like, we use Sife as third-party tracking, and we don't know if there was something weird with the Google update that kind of like knocked our dashboards kind of off. But beyond that, we haven't seen anything too crazy. Okay.
I know for a while in our analytics, it would show like we had 0 reach, but that was so obviously a glitch. Everybody saw it, remember?
Yeah. So that was mid-January.
Yeah. All better. All better. So I imagine that will recover as well. Beverly wants to know how many pins you should have in a board. That's a good question.
I think didn't Pinterest put something in their guide? Maybe they didn't. I'll have to look back on it, but I have never hit a limit. I just keep going.
Yeah. Right. Because she was asking, should you subdivide if you get too many? No, I would not bother doing that. But when I create a new board, I typically create it as a secret board, fill it up with about 20 pins, and then set it public, just because it feels like it's kind of sad if it doesn't have enough. But I wouldn't worry about too many. Yeah. Yep. And then, okay, cool. So Deanne has a question about if she has a pin with 0 repins, should we delete the pin or leave it? I don't know. We don't delete pins. Right?
Just leave it alone. Well, and you never know when it's going to take off. I think that's the biggest thing is like, you can have something with 0 forever. Just leave it.
Just leave it. Unless you find out that it links to something it shouldn't, leave it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Or if it's like an image that let's say you put it up there and the next day you're like, it has a spelling error. Yes. Pull it down.
Yeah. Before it gets to spread. Yeah.
Melissa had that experience with Tailwind where it had something written wrong. Right. And it ended up going viral.
Familiar. Yeah. So it's of course, right? Yes. Okay. And then Laura. Hi, Laura. She's a friend of mine. We ran into each other at Costco a couple months ago.
No way.
She takes my course. So
Nice.
she wanted to know about advice for teachers on Teachers Pay Teachers. I
Ooh.
think this is when we were talking about the issue of what to do when your pin links to something that's no longer available, but you don't own the site. Like, so she doesn't own her Teacher Pay Teachers listing. So what can she do there?
Yeah, we have a lot of TPT clients. Most of ours do have a website where a lot of those are linked. So I guess that would be like, if you can do that by creating a simple website and hosting some of the products there or the links that travel through there. We have found many of the TPT clients that we have that converts really, really well because they get to read more about the product before they go to TPT. But I don't know, we have to probably ask Jessica Boshin to see if she knows of a tip there. But I think it's the same thing where you can't redirect.
You can't edit the listing though. Could you edit the listing?
I don't know if you can edit the listing. I don't know. Or
I would
even
try that.
words. Yeah, I would try that for sure. But I think that is a really, websites I don't think are that expensive.
Right.
Especially if you're going to create a simple one. I would definitely go that route just because of this problem. I've heard it more and more lately. In fact, a lot of people at Social Media Marketing World had asked me about that, and even somebody had sold the site to someone else.
Oh, and they have all their pins. Oh, all those pins.
Yes, exactly.
Now here's the struggle that I have is if you're going to do that for Teachers Pay Teachers or an Etsy and like send someone to a site and then to the store, you won't be able to track how well your promoted pins are working.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and you can't even track whether or not it led to a sale. I think that's been the frustrating part in managing for even TPT clients is that their tracking on the TPT side isn't good to see like how the traffic converted.
Right.
So it's kind of the same way if they go blog and then purchase, you kind of have to just go by, well, if I got this many clicks from Pinterest and create a math problem, then
you have to kind of decide, I think, what's more important to you.
And maybe UTM codes.
Well, that's what we use when we're doing tracking for TPT promoted pin. But if you send them to a blog post first and then to the TPT, it loses the UTM. So I think what I would do maybe is, I don't know. I guess have to prioritize what matters more to you.
Yeah.
That's tough. And maybe just send directly to the store if you're doing promoted pins, and organic send to the site. I know it's tough. But I know TPT is a great platform and it works really well for so many teachers. So we just want to find a way to work with it rather than getting off of it.
Agreed.
Okay, so Marina has a blog that she's recently overhauled, rebranded, and she only has 12 blog posts. Her last blog had 60 blog posts, but she took them off. So does she pin the images for the blog posts that aren't there anymore? No.
Only what's live.
Yep. So the blog, she said the photos were still relevant, but they don't have a blog post. No, I wouldn't even probably link them back to your homepage because that's not what people want. That's not what they're expecting. They're going to bounce and your bounce rate will go up. I wouldn't do it. Just, you could create a lot more images for the 12 blog posts you have, then you get your volume up. Yeah. So that's what I would do. Okay. Kim Vidge. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
She said that group boards were continuing to do well for her too. And she's going to look at being more specific and engaged. Oh, and Melissa said that she spent so much time creating cute board covers a few years ago and Pinterest changed the site.
Yes.
You're not alone.
I had somebody else create them for me. Yeah,
they're super cute, but
nope.
Yeah. Okay. And Raquel targets introverts, which I think Pinterest is the introvert network.
Perfect. Yes.
Excuse me. So she likes board covers from her regular pins best. I agree. Okay. And clean up who we're following. Do we need to clean up who we're following? What do you think, Kate? I have to cough for a minute.
No. I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit. I'm going to look at Pinterest to try to jog my ideas. But, in all honesty, I probably will only clean it up if I don't like what it is that they're pinning. So if it's somebody that I'm like, why did I follow them? Then I actually might remove it. But to be honest, I would just leave it, because I still do go to my home feed just to see what Pinterest shows. And one thing to note too is like, sure, we all know that the follower feed is there and it's popped up, but we have to wait to see how actual users use it. Are they going to transition from their home feed back to a follower feed? We just don't know yet.
Right. That's a good point. But I think the point about cleaning up who we're following really is for your benefit, right? So if you want a very curated follower feed, then yeah, you can clean up your followers, but you don't have to. It's not going to impact your success.
Right. Agreed.
Okay. Lindsay, she's usually only pinning new content to her own boards and not repinning again. Is that bad? I'd say not bad, but a missed opportunity probably.
Yes. Missed opportunity. Somebody asked me about that today again, like in our Facebook group, was just, should I be pinning this again? Yes.
Right. Yes, you should.
And Pinterest
Carol
says that.
Yeah, they do. Okay, so Carol wants to know, archive is not the same as delete. Is that, so she's talking about getting rid of boards that aren't working?
Yeah. No.
We talk more about setting them to secret, but if you set a board to archive, it's not public anymore. You aren't going to see suggestions in your home feed based on those boards, but you can bring it back if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I do. I don't delete.
Yeah, I don't delete. Well, with archive, can you still pin to it like you can a secret board or no? Mm-hmm. I didn't think so. Okay.
But you can bring it back anytime you want, and you can even share it with somebody while it's archived. So.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yep. So we talked about what pin codes are, and there's more in that article I shared. Do you mean you can move boards on mobile but not on desktop?
No.
No. I'm not sure what that.
No, you can. You can only move boards on desktop. You can't move boards on. Yeah. No. I even just tried it just now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yo, did you see the little light bulb thing? Related?
Where's that?
You see it popping up on my phone?
Oh yeah.
I haven't messed with that. If you hit a board, so if I go like this, it pops up, and then I hit related, and then it shows me related boards that I can follow.
Awesome. Okay, so there's more weight to our statement that you need to be optimizing your account. Awesome.
Yes, because when I hit related to Pinterest secrets, it's giving me all Pinterest tips. Gives me, a lot SEO tips, blogging tips, Pinterest. It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, excellent.
Anyway.
Okay, so I think we better end for today. And thank you, everybody, for sticking around. It was a great conversation. We thank you very much for your comments. If I didn't get to your questions, we will go back through and get to them. Okay, so Kate, I'm going to see you back here again pretty soon, right?
Yes, I'm going to get my game face on. 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m.
Yes. And I will share that link again. It should be in the comments, but I will share it again. So thanks again, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.